Hey guys, Brent Hull, happy Wednesday. Going to go out to a ranch and fix a barn, okay? A metal building that they want more classically detailed. Kind of a big challenge because the scale is so big and we've got this metal everywhere and there's no windows in it. So come check it out. Let me know what you think. I think it turned out really neat. I think it's going to be a destination now, but let me know what you think. Got a call for a ranch house, and this was the design that we were sent, kind of, hey, we need to fix it. The challenge was that when I drove up to it, it looked like this. It's a huge barn that has been made all out of metal. And so these are the different sizes, the garage size, this is the front over here. How do we make this into something that's classical and that's interesting? And really one of the challenges that you get into is scale, right? Because this is the drive up to the house. How do we make this pretty? And then this was the courtyard in the middle. So, I'm standing out at the front looking towards the back. And there's some pretty features at this house. There's kind of this lake house, and the land's beautiful. So there's some really neat features. And so basically I started with the outside and understanding that they wanted, something classical. This looks like a schoolhouse or something. It looks funny, right? The windows aren't divided light. We've got this belt course in here, which really doesn't tie into anything. And so, but how do we incorporate this and, still make it look good? So what I did was I took this picture here and basically introduced a kind of circle driveway and then reincorporated these columns, but I built it out, okay? And so that this now either has a pediment or it will have a pediment, and but it could be a hipped roof thing that goes back. I have still incorporated this cupola, and you'll see why in a second. But look what I've done with the windows. I've added this strong base. And it can be rusticated. It can be something that goes around there, because it's hard to give a building of this size a sense of scale, a human scale, like I'm standing up to it. But the incorporating the driveway, having the steps that you walk up, kind of helps a little bit. I've got the graduated fenestration, right, where you've got these big windows on the bottom and then the smaller windows at the top. You'll notice that I've also kind of brought down this entablature so that, if I have coins or something over here, it goes up and supports this entablature that runs around. Taking this, which is stark and hard, right, but incorporating this scale, this rhythm, this central piece being important, I think helps kind of bring life to this. The other reason I think this is important is that there's a drive up that happens, and that if you do the drive up, there's just big imposing building that, just looks like a big warehouse. And by, incorporating the windows into it, you're at least getting a glimpse of something that, there's a destination. There's something that I can travel to and I understand it. Whereas this looks kind of harsh and cold and without scale. The other thing, it was fixing this interior. And so, one of the things I was encouraging them to do is changing the accesses and introducing scale here. And so I did it by basically, using some inspiration from classical architecture. What gives, this space scale, right, is introducing the classical orders. And in this case, I've got the pedestals. I've got these pilasters here with an entablature that's going to run around this whole space. Those things help give it a sense of scale, so that when you're standing in here, you're not feeling like you're in a prison, right? But you're feeling like there's a sense of place here. And so you'll notice I've got these brackets, these bracketed eaves that come out. I've got my entablature with these rafter tails coming out here. These windows are smaller on the upstairs level, so that there's again this hierarchy. And then this was a proposal to them that the entry goes here. And so when you come into the courtyard, maybe there's a water feature here, maybe there's a water feature on the back wall, benches or something along these different sides. But this is a garden experience inside here. Maybe there's vines growing up, maybe there's a trellis or something that we're training things. But this, by taking a classical inspiration of something like this, where, which was done classically, in gardens, in areas to get that garden room, that solarium feel, right? We are introducing that idea. Another picture from Gertrude Jekyll, and this use of this outside terrace. Notice that there is this lattice work over here, lattice work at the top, but this is an outside garden room, and that's really the look that we're trying to accomplish here. So, you know, what do you do with the space like this? It can be hard, but there are ways that by introducing those classical elements, you can improve this. And so maybe in here we're adding a windowsill and maybe a little bit of trim around the outside of this thing, right? This could have an arch in it. Maybe there's a keystone here. There's just ways of playing around with this, and maybe on this elevation over the doorway, this is elevated so that this window is elevated as well. Something that gives you direction so that when you walk into space, you know where you're supposed to go. You're not kind of lost in here of what's important and what isn't, but there really is a sense of, oh, I need to go here, and this is how this is laid out. So, as to materials, as to how we're going to execute this, it's really kind of, it's up in the air. We're in discussion right now, but most likely this base is stone. This up here is all stucco. There's probably a stone face here going around the outside. And then once you're inside your garden area, right, this lattice work on this lower level, maybe it's stucco above, but we're definitely stepping away from that metal building kind of look, and we're trying to disguise that. And so in each area where those things show up, right, we're introducing wood beams up here and a wood entablature, soffit, fascia, all of that up here to disguise that wood thing. Whether there's lattice up here as well, or whether this is stucco, hasn't been determined yet, but we will be incorporating and introducing a different type of material, one to signal hierarchy, but two to disguise the fact that this is a big metal building. Okay guys, what did you think? Turning a ranch barn into something almost Renaissance classical, kind of a cool detail. Materials are going to be really important there. So very early stages of this job, but I'll let you know how it turns out. Let me know what you think. I'm Brent Hull. Thanks for watching.